San Francisco, home to a five-time Super Bowl champion. Can you dig it, sucker? Sorry, Booker T reference. But anyway, the 1980s and 90s were a plentiful time for the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners actually were part of the All American Football Conference, which was the first main challenger to the NFL back in 1946. And then in 1950, they were absorbed with a few other AFC teams, most notably the Cleveland Browns. So they were in the NFL in the 1950s. In 1957, they actually had a chance to play for the NFL championship against the Baltimore Colts. They were hosting the Detroit Lions at home, and they had a 24-point lead at halftime. And then the halftime announcer said that tickets for the NFC title game are on sale right now. You can get your tickets for that. So basically, the Detroit Lions heard that, and of course, because the walls were paper thin at San Francisco's KSR Stadium, they heard San Francisco cheering, saying that they had a chance to win the NFL title. The Lions didn't sleep tonight. They beat the Niners. They shocked everyone. Tobin wrote a hero. And the Lions snuffed out the Niners' chance of an NFL title. Unfortunately for the Niners, karma didn't help as the Lions ended up winning the NFL title. The San Francisco 49ers had a few chances in the 70s to make it far. Their most important one was in 1972. Ironically, it was the same day as the Immaculate Reception game. As everyone knows about Pittsburgh's comeback against Oakland in that game, December 23rd, 1972, the 49ers were victimized by a massive comeback on the same day. People forget about that. That was when Roger Staubach became the field general of the Cowboys and not just a guy who rotated with Craig Morton. It's kind of like January 2003 when the Browns shockingly blew it against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then on the same day the Giants blew it against the 49ers. Although I'll talk about that later. So anyway, the Niners blew it at home. A great chance. John Brody, I believe, retired after this and became a pro golfer on the senior tour. I kid you not, John Brody was a golfer. So anyway, the Niners would not have many chances. They were down in the dumps. They were dismal. They tried to bring O.J. Simpson to the Niners to bring some stability to the franchise. Not really a good idea. But the Niners did pick up a gem in the third round by the name of Joe Montana. A lot of teams didn't think Joe Montana was going to amount to much, even though he played for Notre Dame and led the Irish to the famous 1979 Cotton Bowl victory over the Houston Cougars. Montana was kind of sitting it out. I believe Steve DeBerg was the starting quarterback for the Niners back in the 80s. But what was strange about it is that the Niners actually made a massive comeback against the New Orleans Saints in Week 8 of the 1980 season. The Saints were winless at that time and tried to get number one, but they failed. The Niners would actually build on things. In 1982, it was actually very critical. They were hosting the NFC title game against the same franchise that screwed them 10 years earlier, that being the Dallas Cowboys. And all of a sudden, Dwight Clark's famous catch from Joe Montana, that's when Montana Magic was really born. Niners went to the Super Bowl and beat the Cincinnati Bengals. Thanks to Dan Bunce's goal line stand. The man is Dan Bunce. So anyway, the Niners kept going. They even beat the Dolphins in a marquee Super Bowl, Montana versus Marino. Unfortunately for Marino, that was the only time he sniffed the Super Bowl. So anyway, San Francisco then took it on the chin for a couple of times. 1987 was the most prime example. At 13-2, this was the straight shortened season that basically ruined things. One of them, anyway. The Niners actually ended up losing at home to the Minnesota Vikings, who had no business beating them. The Vikings went on to become close. They were a goal line touchdown away from going to the Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos, but unfortunately they couldn't do it against Washington. Washington ended up winning the Super Bowl. Doug Williams, thank you very much. But the Niners came roaring back in 1989. They got to the Super Bowl. They were down 16-13 to the same Bengals franchise they faced 7 years earlier. Joe Montana to Jerry Rice 11 times. But Jerry Rice was not the guy who scored the winning touchdown. That was John Taylor, who once had a 300-yard receiving game or something like that. I know Flipper Anderson had that record, but John Taylor was close. But anyway, the Niners actually shocked everyone by winning 18 straight road games. I kid you not. NFL did a top 10 about top 10 streaks, and they talked about the San Francisco 49ers road winning streak instead of home winning streak. That would have been shocking. I don't think the Pats weren't even come close to it. But anyway, the Niners still had some fire in their belly. I mean, Joe Montana did lead a fourth quarter comeback against the Eagles in Philadelphia, but the dynasty was fading. Even though they crushed Denver into a fine power 55-10 at Super Bowl 24, things looked down. More on that later. Anyway, the Niners were be fighting with the Cowboys and the Packers, mostly for supremacy in the 1990s. They did win Super Bowl 29 by a score of 49-26 in the highest scoring Super Bowl of all time. And Steve Young got the monkey off his back because everyone said Montana was better, but Steve Young got the proverbial monkey off his back with a Super Bowl title. Thank you very much. It was kind of strange seeing Young and Montana because Steve Young was a cast-off from the Tampa Bay Bucks who couldn't fucking win a game to save their lives, if you will. So anyway, regardless of what things happened, the Niners enjoyed some times in the late 90s. Young retired. They brought a Canadian Football League legend from the Calgary Stampeders, Jeff Garcia, and he did pretty well. The Niners did get a lucky bounce. Remember the touchdown from Young to Owens to seal a wildcard game in 1999? Well, you can thank good fortune and the lack of instant replay, as it was turned out that Jerry Rice legitimately made a bad fumble. Well, 1998. That's when it happened. That was just before instant replay came back. And if instant replay was used, the Niners would have lost that game to the Packers, or at least lost momentum in that drive. They could have still won. So unfortunately, things happened. Steve Young got hurt in the first game of the year in 1999. So did Terrell Owens. The Niners actually had to ride their running backs. And nobody can forget Garrison Hurst's 95-yard touchdown run in overtime against New York Jets on home turf in Week 1. Amazing. Regardless, the Niners had tough times getting to the NFC title game. In 2003, they actually had a golden chance. They were hosting the Giants in the wild card game, and the New York Giants had a massive lead. But Terrell Owens did not back down. He caught a few touchdown passes, and unfortunately for the Giants, a massive bad bounce. Trey Jenkins' bad snap wasn't the only problem for the Giants that helped the Niners. It was the inept refereeing, because they called the wrong offensive lineman for pass interference. Well, for being ineligible down the field, because there were two of them going down the field. The one who was down the field legally tried to get the ball. The Giants had pass interference. If they called it correctly, they called the wrong Giant lineman for that. I think it's a Niners. Fuck. But anyway, the Niners went on to lose the second round game. Karma bit them in the butt. The Niners have had a few decent chances. 2013, they actually got to the Super Bowl by beating the Atlanta Falcons. They took on the Baltimore Ravens. Unfortunately, that Super Bowl would be marred by a massive blackout after Baltimore had a 28-6 lead. The Niners came back. That was amazing. But unfortunately for the Niners, they ended up losing to the Baltimore Ravens. So let's talk about the what if I'm doing. And that's 1990-91, if you will. We're thinking, wait a minute, that's the team who won the Super Bowl. Wrongo! That was the team after they won. They won back-to-back Super Bowls. It's the team after, the 1990 Giants. The San Francisco Giants were hosting the New York Giants. No, San Francisco Giants, sorry. The Niners were hosting the New York Giants at home. Earlier in the day, Buffalo crushed the LA Raiders 51-3 for a trip to the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay, Super Bowl 25, the silver anniversary. So anyway, the Niners were hopeful to win at home. Well, who would bet against them? Unfortunately, the Niners couldn't get their offense going. And Joe Montana sadly got crushed by Lawrence Taylor and also Leonard Marshall. That hit would have serious ramifications on Montana's career, as he almost lost 2 full seasons because of that injury. People forget about that crushing blow. But thankfully, the Niners had a backup they could count on, which was Steve Young, who carried it. Unfortunately, the big mistake was Roger Craig, who made a massive fumble. The Giants ran down to field goal range, and Matt Barr kicked his 5th field goal. Funny enough, the final score was 15-13 Giants. Can you believe it? The Giants didn't score a touchdown yet. They were going to the Super Bowl. And of course, as we all know, in Super Bowl 25, Sky Norwood missed wide right. Giants ended up winning the Super Bowl. This what if is an easier what if than the first one because all I got to do is just do one freaking game. So let's just say the Niners somehow survived the Giants' prowess. Leonard Marshall probably doesn't do a good job. But Joe Montana does get hurt, but he comes back for the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna do two different games, like one with Joe Montana, one with Steve Young, because I kind of owe it to it, saying I don't know if Joe Montana's injury would do it, but I like to do one with Joe Montana for the heck of it. For prosperity, I'm going to count the one with Steve Young because we all know Joe Montana's hurt. But I want to see if Joe Montana can beat the Buffalo Bills. If he can't, then that's fine. And let's see if Steve Young can beat the Bills. So basically, as we all know, Buffalo went to the Super Bowl as the AFC champion, and the NFC champion would be the Niners. Super Bowl 25 will be simulating a normal weather at Tampa Stadium because I know damn well that's where Super Bowl 25 was. All right, so it's the 13-3 Buffalo Bills against the 14-2 San Francisco 49ers for Super Bowl glory. This one will have Joe Montana as quarterback, as opposed to Steve Young. So we'll see what happens. So we're going to do the play-by-play here. As you can see here, no score. Norwood, he has a 38-yard field goal attempt. The kick, up, Saban, it's good. Norwood makes it 3-0. Nicely done here. Nothing in the first quarter. 3-0 after the first quarter. Here comes Roger Craig. Craig, up the middle, touchdown, Niners. Roger Craig. And now it's good. Extra point is good. 7-3 San Francisco. It is 7-3. Here we go. At the 8. Gives it to Thomas. Thomas, right side. Touchdown, Buffalo. Woo, boy. A big touchdown for Furman Thomas. And now, extra point attempt for Norwood. Yep, that's good. 10-7, Bills. 10-7. San Fran will call timeout. 24 seconds left in this half. Montana. Barking out. 2nd and 10 on 24. Montana will have to throw it. He's got a touchdown. Got it. It's Jerry Rice. How about that? Minute Rice, baby. And now the extra point. 7. 13-10. As we head to the halftime. It's a halftime. Fourth quarter, 17-10. Let's see what the Bills can do. Buffalo will have to punt. 4th and 1 with 4:46 left. They'll have to go for it. They are on the 3-yard line. They don't want to kick a field goal because that might not matter. He's going to give it to Moeller. Moeller. No, he cannot. Oh, my God. Stopped at the 3-yard line. Niners will hang on. San Fran will punt. Now Buffalo. To the 39. And now they have a chance. Smith will go up the middle. He dropped it. The Niners recover with 1:47 left. How about that? Bills have to do something. Kelly. Last team. But Charles Haley is going to kick him to the curb. And the Niners are your champions. 17-10. Unbelievable. So that's what happens in the one with Joe Montana. 17-10. So your scores, you saw the play. Mike Kofer is the San Francisco kicker, by the way. Furman Thomas was named player of the game, even though that it was in a loss. Don Smith. Who the hell is Don Smith? But anyway, he made that big fumble. Rathman, 77 yards on the ground. Roger Craig, 52. Jerry Rice with that touchdown. Kelly, 257 with a pick. Joe Montana, 120 yards with a touchdown. The only pick was by Don Griffin. Scotty Norwood makes a 38-yarder, but misses a 44-yarder, a 3 yards shorter than the one he missed at the end of Super Bowl 25 in real life. Okay, so that is that. But we're going to have to do the depth chart. It will have to be Steve Young. It will be Steve Young who will have to come in. This is the real Super Bowl. Tampa, everything was fine. And in the real Super Bowl, the Buffalo Bills end up winning 27-24. So technically, it's a loss for the Niners because with Steve Young as quarterback with Joe Montana's injury. So 27-24, it was amazing. Scott Norwood hit a 28-yard field goal. Mike Kofer made it a 49-yard, ties it. Furman Thomas got a 46-yard dash and grab to make it 10-3. Kofer, a 20-yard field goal. Keith McKellar made it 17-6 on a touchdown from Kelly. And then Andre Reed got one from Kelly, 24-6. Mike Kofer field goal, 7 minutes left. Roger Craig gets the thing. Oh, I guess you can go for 2-point conversions. 24-16. Mike Wilson catches one from Joe Montana. And Rice, it's a 2-point conversion. I thought I made Steve Young the starting quarterback. I guess I did, and then did he get hurt or something? Huh. And then Sky Norwood kicks a field goal with triple zeros. This time, it's straight down the middle. It's not wide right, not wide left, but it's wide center. Furman Thomas is named player of the year. 141 yards running. He does much better in this simulation. So I guess Montana came in. That's kind of tainted, if you know what I mean. But the Bills won the game anyway, so I guess the Niners probably would have lost anyhow. I feel so bad for them. Kofer makes from 49, 20, and 39, but misses from 46. Norwood misses from 45 and 38. That's amazing. He can make a 38-yarder, but miss a 38-yarder. I wonder where Steve Young was. This. Okay, so Young. So they decided to go with Montana with 145 left. But I wonder why. It doesn't say he's hurt. Oh, boy, this is kind of creepy, if you know what I mean. It's so creepy. But the Buffalo Bills do win the Super Bowl. They would have had their chance to win at least one of those 4 Super Bowls. Sorry, tricks are for kids. Goodbye.